Most people don't realize they're escaping. They think they're just tired. They think they're just waiting for the weekend, waiting for the vacation, waiting for the next break that makes life feel tolerable again. But that feeling, that quiet urge to run, is not exhaustion. It's a signal that something about the way you're living doesn't fit who you are, that we live in a world where escape is normal. Scrolling to forget the day, drinking to soften the edges, binge watching to avoid silence, counting down the hours until time finally belongs to us again. And no one asks the obvious question: why does life feel like something you need to escape from? The problem isn't that you want relief. The problem is that relief has replaced living. Somewhere along the way, life became something to endure, not something to inhabit. Days blurred into routines. Routines hardened into obligations. And obligations slowly replaced choice. You were told this was adulthood. You were told this was success. You were told that feeling empty was normal, as long as you were productive. But deep down, something resists that lie. Because a meaningful life does not require constant distraction. A fulfilling life does not demand escape. And a life that fits you does not leave you desperate for relief at the end of every day. The need to escape is not weakness. It is wisdom trying to wake you up that it's the part of you that knows, even if you don't want to admit it, that you are living a life designed by default, not by intention. And the truth is uncomfortable. You don't need a better vacation. You don't need a stronger coping mechanism. You don't need a new way to numb yourself. You need a life that doesn't require running away to in this video. We're not going to talk about motivation. We're not going to sell you hustle or productivity tricks. We're going to talk about something far more dangerous and far more freeing. How to dismantle a life built on quiet desperation. How to recognize the invisible cages you've accepted as normal. And how to begin building a life so grounded, so aligned, and so deliberate that escape simply loses its power. Because when your life is truly yours, you don't look for exits. Asterisk at some point. Most people begin to suspect that something is wrong, but they don't know where to look. On the surface, everything appears fine. They followed the rules. They did what they were told. They studied, worked, achieved, accumulated. And yet, beneath the structure of success, there is a quiet dissatisfaction, a feeling that the reward never quite arrives. That life keeps promising fulfillment just a little further down the road. Modern success is built on delay. You are told to sacrifice now so you can live later. Endure the job so you can enjoy the weekend. Endure the week so you can enjoy the vacation. Endure the years so you can finally rest. But what often happens instead is that later becomes a moving target. The promotion doesn't fix the emptiness. The bigger house doesn't bring peace. The lifestyle upgrade doesn't bring meaning. It only raises the cost of leaving. This is the lie no one warns you about. You can win the game and still lose your life. Because success, when defined externally, has no natural stopping point. There is always more to prove, more to maintain, more to defend, and slowly, without realizing it, your life stops being something you live and becomes something you manage. You manage appearances. You manage expectations. You manage responsibilities that once felt like achievements. The tragedy isn't failure. The tragedy is succeeding at a life that drains you. This is why so many people feel guilty for being unhappy. They believe they have no right to question a life that looks good from the outside. So they silence the discomfort. They numb it. They distract themselves from it. But discomfort doesn't disappear when ignored. It waits, and it returns as burnout, as restlessness, as the quiet fantasy of starting over, somewhere else, as someone else. What if the problem isn't you? What if the exhaustion isn't laziness, but misalignment? What if the life you're working so hard to sustain was never designed to sustain you? That question is dangerous, because once you ask it honestly, you can't unsee the answer, and that's where real change begins. Most people believe their urge to escape means something is wrong with them, that they're weak, ungrateful, undisciplined. But the need to escape is not a personal failure. It's a psychological response. Escapism doesn't appear when life is full. It appears when life feels constricting. When your days demand energy but give nothing back. When your attention is consumed but your spirit is starved. Think about it. You don't feel the urge to escape moments that feel alive. You don't need to flee conversations that matter. You don't need distraction when you feel grounded in what you're doing. Escape shows up when your life is no longer yours. Most people are not exhausted by work alone. They are exhausted by unconscious living, by roles they never chose, by routines they inherited, by expectations absorbed so early they feel natural. School teaches obedience, not self-knowledge. Work rewards endurance, not alignment. Culture celebrates busyness, not meaning. So people cope the only way they know how. They look for exits. They escape into entertainment, into consumption, into fantasies of a different life that always feels just out of reach. But escape is not rest. It's postponement. It's the body asking for relief while the mind avoids the deeper question: why does my life require this much relief in the first place? The dangerous part is how normal this has become. When everyone is escaping, no one questions the structure that makes escape necessary. And so people blame themselves. They search for better habits, better routines, better distractions. But no amount of self-improvement can fix a life that is fundamentally misaligned. You cannot optimize a cage. The truth is uncomfortable, but liberating. Your desire to escape is not asking for entertainment. It's asking for ownership. That it's asking you to examine where your time goes, who your energy serves, and whether the life you're maintaining actually reflects who you are. Until that question is faced, escape will keep calling. Louder, more urgently, more destructively, because what you resist acknowledging doesn't disappear. It waits until burnout, resentment, or quiet despair forces the conversation. But you don't have to wait for collapse to listen. The moment you understand why you're escaping is the moment escape begins to lose its grip. And from there, a different kind of life becomes possible. Asterisk, the most powerful prisons are the ones you don't know you're in. There are no bars, no locked doors, no guard standing watch. There is only routine. Most people live lives that were assembled for them, piece by piece, long before they ever had the language to question them. You inherit expectations the way you inherit a last name. You absorb definitions of success without examining who they serve. You accept timelines that quietly dictate when you should want certain things. And because everyone around you is doing the same, it feels natural. This is what a secondhand life looks like. A life built from borrowed values, pre-approved ambitions, socially acceptable dreams. You don't wake up one day and choose it. You drift into it, slowly, politely, without resistance. And then one day, you realize something is missing. Not comfort, not stability, meaning. The cage isn't obvious because it's functional. It pays the bills. It earns approval. It keeps you on track. But it demands something in return. Your time is exchanged for maintenance. Your energy is spent sustaining structures you didn't design. Your attention is consumed by obligations that leave no room for reflection. And so the days fill up, but life feels thin. This is why people feel restless even when everything is fine. Why silence feels uncomfortable. Why stillness brings anxiety instead of peace. Because stillness reveals the truth that much of what fills your life was never consciously chosen. The tragedy isn't that people fail to build meaningful lives. It's that they rarely realize they were given the option. Secondhand lives are efficient. They tell you what to want, who to impress, what milestones matter, but they leave no space for the deeper question: what actually gives my life weight? And without that answer, people keep moving, not forward, but in circles, busy, responsible, quietly, unfulfilled. The cage remains invisible as long as it is never questioned. But the moment you see it, really see it, something shifts. Because what was inherited can be examined. What was accepted can be refused. And what was never chosen does not have to be maintained. Freedom does not begin with rebellion. It begins with awareness, and awareness changes everything. Asterisk, when people realize their life feels heavy, their first instinct is to add new habits, new goals, new routines meant to fix what feels wrong. But heaviness is rarely caused by a lack of effort. It is caused by excess. A life built without intention accumulates obligations the way a house accumulates dust, quietly, gradually, until breathing becomes difficult. We live in a culture obsessed with addition. More productivity, more optimization, more self-improvement. But no one asks the more important question: what needs to be removed? True change does not begin with ambition. It begins with subtraction, with the courage to look at your life honestly and ask, does this give me life, or does it drain it? Most people are exhausted not because they are doing too little, but because they are doing too much of what doesn't matter to them. They say yes out of obligation. They maintain roles out of fear. They hold on to commitments long after their purpose has expired. And slowly, life becomes crowded schedules, crowded minds, crowded identities. There is no space left to feel, no room to think, no silence where truth can emerge. Subtraction feels dangerous because it threatens the structures that provide certainty. Letting go risks disapproval. Simplifying invites judgment. Stepping back can look like failure. But what if clarity requires emptiness? What if the reason you can't hear yourself is because your life is too loud? Subtraction is not loss. It is recovery. It is reclaiming time from obligations that were never sacred, reclaiming energy from roles that no longer fit, reclaiming attention from systems designed to consume it. When you remove what is unnecessary, something unexpected happens. You begin to feel again, not constant happiness, but presence. You notice your thoughts instead of escaping them. You recognize fatigue before it becomes burnout. You feel the quiet satisfaction of living at a human pace. A life that doesn't require escape is not built by piling on more. It is built by removing what pulls you away from yourself. Subtraction creates space. And in that space, truth becomes audible. That space is not empty. It is fertile, because only when your life is light enough to carry can it move in a direction that is truly yours. Asterisk, time is not something you manage. It is something you spend, and like money, once it's gone, it doesn't return. Most people talk about time as if it were abstract, something flexible, renewable, forgiving. But your life is measured in energy, not intentions. Every commitment costs something. Every obligation demands a portion of your attention. Every yes is paid for with hours you will never recover. The problem is not that people don't value time. It's that they don't see where it's going. They underestimate the silent tax of modern living. Commutes, emails, meetings that exist because no one questions them. Work that expands to fill every available moment. And so time fragments. You feel busy, but never fulfilled. Occupied, but never present. Exhausted, yet strangely unsatisfied. Reclaiming time begins with a shift in perspective. Instead of asking, how much can I earn? You begin asking, what is this costing my life? Because work is not neutral. It shapes your days. It dictates your rhythms. It decides how much of yourself you have left at night. A job that pays well but drains you is not profitable in the long run. A lifestyle that looks impressive but requires constant recovery is not sustainable. Reclaiming time means redesigning your life around energy, not status. It means choosing fewer things and doing them with full presence. It means recognizing that rest is not something you deserve only after exhaustion. Rest is a requirement for clarity. When time and energy align, something shifts internally. You stop rushing through your days. You stop living for breaks. You stop counting down the hours until escape. Life begins to feel inhabitable again. This doesn't mean withdrawal from responsibility. It means responsibility chosen consciously. It means understanding that not everything deserves your effort. Not every opportunity is worth your attention. Not every expectation deserves obedience. Reclaiming time is an act of self-respect, because how you spend your days is how you spend your life. And when your time begins to reflect your values, escape loses its appeal. You no longer need relief from your own existence. You begin to experience something rare and quietly powerful, a life that feels like it belongs to you. Asterisk when life becomes overwhelming. Most people don't realize what they've lost. They think the problem is stress, or pressure, or a lack of balance. But beneath all of that is something simpler and more serious. They have drifted away from real life, not the life on screens. Not the life measured in metrics and notifications, but the immediate, physical, sensory world that grounds the nervous system and reminds you that you exist. Modern life pulls attention upward into abstractions, timelines, projections, and endless mental noise. The body stays behind while the mind lives elsewhere, and a mind that lives nowhere real eventually feels nowhere safe. This is why anxiety thrives in comfort, why restlessness grows in stillness, why silence feels threatening instead of calming. The solution is not stimulation. It is return to primary experiences, to walking without a destination, to touching what you build, to cooking, fixing, creating, and observing slowly. These are not hobbies. They are anchors. They bring attention back into the body. They restore rhythm. They remind the mind that life is happening here, not someday, not elsewhere. You don't need to escape when you are present. Presence dissolves the urge to run because it removes the illusion of being trapped. The cage weakens when attention returns to reality. Silence, when approached gently, becomes medicine, not because it feels good immediately, but because it allows the nervous system to exhale. This is why people feel calmer near water, why forests feel restorative, why handmade things feel different than mass-produced ones. They are real that a life filled only with representations of life eventually starves the soul. Returning to real life does not require radical change. It requires intentional contact, moments of slowness, moments without documentation, moments that exist only to be lived. And as these moments accumulate, something subtle shifts. You begin to feel rooted, less reactive, less desperate for relief. Escape loses its urgency because reality becomes tolerable, then meaningful. This is not nostalgia. It is psychological nourishment that a life that doesn't require escape is a life that brings you back into contact with what is real. And from that grounded place, the final prison becomes visible. Asterisk, even after simplifying life, even after reclaiming time, even after returning to what is real. One prison often remains: the need to be approved. Approval is subtle. It doesn't feel like fear at first. It feels like responsibility, like being considerate, like not wanting to disappoint. But beneath it is a powerful instinct, the instinct to belong at all costs. For most of human history, rejection meant danger. Isolation meant death. So the nervous system learned to equate approval with survival. That instinct still lives in you. It whispers caution when you consider change. It tightens your chest when you imagine being misunderstood. It convinces you that being liked is safer than being honest. And so people shape themselves to fit expectations. They soften their edges. They mute their instincts. They live just close enough to their truth to avoid discomfort, but not close enough to feel alive. This is why approval is the final prison, because it disguises itself as virtue. It tells you you're being mature, practical, reasonable, but in exchange, it demands silence. Silence when something doesn't feel right. Silence when your path diverges from the crowd. Silence when your life begins to look different. Approval keeps you acceptable, but never whole, and wholeness is the cost of conformity. To live deliberately means accepting a hard truth. A life that is truly yours will not be universally understood. Some people will be confused by your choices. Others will be threatened. Some will quietly drift away. This is not cruelty. It is consequence. Freedom has a social cost, but so does inauthenticity. The difference is that one drains you slowly, while the other strengthens you over time. Letting go of approval does not mean becoming careless. It means becoming honest. It means choosing alignment over applause, integrity over acceptance, truth over comfort. When approval loses its grip, something profound happens. You stop performing. You stop explaining. You stop escaping, because you are no longer living for permission. And when that final prison dissolves, life opens fully, not as fantasy, but as something solid, grounded, and real. Escape is not the enemy. It is a signal that something in your life is misaligned, that the way you spend your days is not fully your own, that the structure you inherited, the expectations you accepted, and the approvals you chased have quietly shaped a life that doesn't fit. But now, you know. You see the invisible cages. You understand the cost of borrowed lives. You recognize the exhaustion of a body tethered to obligations it never chose. You don't count down the hours until relief. You inhabit your days fully. You feel grounded. You feel capable. You feel alive. This is not about perfection. It is about honesty. Not about happiness at all times, but about coherence and integrity. Your days become a mirror of your values. Your time is spent, not wasted. Your attention nurtures what matters, not what distracts. Your energy flows toward creation, not consumption. And the freedom you gain is profound. Not flashy, not sudden, not loud. Quiet, persistent, irreplaceable. Here is the challenge. Examine your life. Notice what you inherited without choice. Notice what you keep only out of habit. Notice what you allow to drain your time and energy. Then act, simplify, align, return, reject permission-seeking. Build a life so good, so grounded, that escape becomes unnecessary. If this message resonates, comment below, I choose my life. Like this video if it opened your eyes. Subscribe for more cinematic philosophy and mindset awakenings. And when you step away from the screen, remember, you don't need another escape. You need a life you don't want to run from, because that is where true freedom begins.